Okay, once more on the Ultimate Sports Network, we're talking to people that actually talk to people. I had a title for this a few years ago, and it was awful. So that's just all that I say now. Interviewers interviewing people that interview stuff. There, how's that sound?
That sounds great. I love it.
Thanks for lying to me. I appreciate that. Introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are, what you do, why you're here, and all that good fun stuff.
Yes. Hello, world. My name is Katherine Berning, and I am mostly covering the NWSL, specific teams, Portland Thorns and Gotham FC, with that league specifically, but basically reporting on games, highlights, big moments. And with this expansion team and the growing of the league since 2012 when it started, I'm here to just shine a light on the NWSL and the U.S. women's national team and the talent that's behind the players and the coaches and the staff. And I think I'm very passionate about women's sports and how we've been underfunded and underpromoted, underpaid, undervalued. I could go on and on. I think it's just a big passion of mine, and I'm here to shine the light on this group of talent and female sports, specifically soccer in this country.
We're going to touch on a couple of things here that you just said that are very important. And there are two things that we're looking at. There are the passion that people have, especially young ladies when they get into sports, and then there's no place for them to go, unfortunately, like that. Mm-hmm. Then there's the business aspect of things as well. So let's touch on the passion. I'm a former athletic director, and I will give you the we don't have a team, we need a team thing. So I had a group of young ladies. We did not have a volleyball team, and we did not have a softball team. It was a small Catholic school, and just didn't have the numbers for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And these young ladies, like 3 or 4 or 5, will come to my office, once or twice a week. We need a team. We need a team. We need a team. Like, ladies, I get what you're saying, but we've got balls, we've got nets, we've got gloves, we have schedules, we have officials, we have everything we need, but there ain't enough of you. And it's like, you need to start at the grassroots. We need to find these little league programs that a lot of places have, and a lot of people have their starter programs and travel ball and all that, but it's not even that. The education of how to play, the desire of how to play. And part of that is they don't see what you're spotlighting. They don't see women in sports actively playing as adults. Now, I grew up watching the NBA, the NFL. I had idols all over the place. Where are those idols? So I appreciate what you're doing to show people that. Yeah. And then the other aspect of that is really simple. Business. Now, the last time I checked, the percentage of the population, male to female, the ratio was more females than males. Yeah. Let's turn these females into sports fans. Let's get them on the Ultimate Sports Network and go, they like us. Let's like them. And what you're doing is perfect. We're spearheading an idea of let's get women involved in sports, because most of them are at some point as they grow up anyway. And then we turn them away. Well, you played soccer, but you really don't know about soccer. You played softball, but you really don't know anything about baseball. You played volleyball. That doesn't translate to anything else out in the real world. So go over there, go to Dairy Queen and shut up. And that's just wrong. And it doesn't make a lot of sense that we as journalists, if we want to call ourselves that, we take the advantage of what's simple and don't give to what's hard. So explain to people what you've done in a short amount of time as far as making inroads and making communications with the teams.
Yeah, I think I've been pretty lucky with just being persistent and reaching out. And luckily we have, the internet nowadays, unlike we did 20 years ago, but we have the internet where we can, find these websites. And I think websites for NWSL teams are still being updated, still being, made stronger with more content, more imagery, more viewers and subscribers to those websites. So lucky enough, they've made it very easy for me to be able to find those people and to get in touch with the right people. It's been very easy for me to get in touch with them, and then just being persistent. But also I found a lot of my responses being, we need more people to cover this league. This is great. That was the main response of, obviously we're busy and we are professional teams and leagues in this country, but this is a sport, especially with women, but soccer in this country in general isn't covered a lot. But these women's teams, especially going from 10 to 12 in this past year, have found that just people want it to be covered. They want more photos and videographers and photographers and reporters and journalists out there to be able to talk about soccer as a whole and what these women are doing on the field, but also off the field as well, which has been obviously a big conversation with most of the U.S. women's national team members and kind of how they're using their platform and their voices recently. And so, yeah, I think it's so important to get more people to be able to cover it, not only for me as a huge fan and as like a nerd when I, when I can watch games, and I'm so excited to go to games to be able to be on the field and talk to players and, be a part of that. But yeah, just as what you were saying, kind of as a journalist as well, getting the word out there and growing this sport and growing these athletes as much as we can.
Here's where I know we're starting to turn the tables. We're starting to make a difference. Now, I'm in Las Vegas, and I find myself in a sports book on a regular basis because you've got the array of TVs and all that stuff, so you can see what's going on. But the majority of the people there are sports bettors, and they just want to see what they want to see. And you would have been hard pressed to have found a WNBA game or NWSL game or anything years ago.
Yeah.
And just a few short weeks ago, I look up in the middle of everything, and the women's national team is on. You go, now there are no odds on it. There's nothing that anyone can bet on, but it's like, here is sports entertainment. Let's take a look. And so it's getting there. We're making the inroads. And like you said, the leagues can only do so much. It's not the days of the past where they made a contract with ABC or CBS and boom, they were on every channel or they were on all the time. It's different now. They have to grow through us and through people like us and through people like you. So, I think that, well, you're going to get a medal is what I'm trying to say. They're going to say, wait a second.
Hope so. God.
This lady's taking care of business here. So there's that. Now, you said something before we got on the air, which I think is interesting.
Oh, gosh.
You were watching something as we were connected. Explain that to the people.
The game I was watching?
Yes.
I was watching the Indiana Hoosiers lose to the Rutgers about 20 minutes ago.
You didn't have to say the lose part.
Well, it was pretty intense last 5 minutes. I would say there was a flagrant, a couple free throws being made, very tight game. We lost by 3 points. So it was very intense and I had to stay on the couch as long as I could, then run up here to my computer. So yeah, I think sports brings people together. Sports helps us be human and laugh and cry sometimes, like tonight. And yeah, I can't tell you how important it is to me, let alone probably you and a million other people who are listening to this right now. But yeah, so that's what I was doing 5 minutes before we started this.
And the reason I asked that, not to rub it in, because that wasn't the point. Rutgers is actually a pretty decent team now, and they're gonna make some inroads in the tournament, I think. But anyway,
yeah.
Ron Harper Jr. and Gio Baker, those guys are pretty decent. But
they play great.
The point of that point was, this is prime time viewing of sitcoms or whatever, and you've chosen to watch sports. And being an alum, that helps a little bit. I understand that. But you've chosen to watch a basketball game. And I think what we are bypassing is, in general, we're not, again, as I mentioned earlier, we're not cultivating women's fans to be fans. I know of several high school and junior high and grade school female basketball players that weren't watch the boys game and learn how to play. It's like, no, just watch basketball.
Yeah.
Just watch soccer. Just watch the sport and enjoy the sport for what it is. And if you enjoy it as you're playing and you enjoy it as you're watching it, it won't really make a difference. We don't have to have these distinctions of, well, I watched the NWSL and I watched MLS and I watched Premier. Just watch the sport and enjoy it. And I think by giving the platform that you're giving people, that you're showing them, I'm going to cover this and let's make it look good. Let's look at it and say, this is out there. And I think that the more men that watch the NWSL as well, because it is sport and it is challenging and it is something that's fantastic. We don't want it to just be, you're half the population watches this, you're half the population watches that. And I think what you're doing is you're bringing people together and saying, it's sport, let's check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And if we can continue to do that, which you're going to do, it's really cool. Now, what is if you can give any kind of detail, because you have got all these connections to all the teams. What is your plan for the season?
Yeah, my plan is, so I think kind of going back earlier, CBS has just posted that they're playing some of the matches in the NWSL this season, which I think is amazing. And all of their matches will be on Paramount Plus. So all NWSL matches will be available to watch, which is going to be great. And what I plan to do is to go at least to 6 home stadiums and watch 6 home teams at their fields. And I've actually requested to interview a couple players from the OL Reign and Chicago Red Stars, which I've gotten approval for that, which has been great. Very excited to do that. But basically it's me as a female, as a not a professional, but as a previous sports person and as previous athlete, supporting women in sports leads to stronger women and stronger girls and stronger boys out there who are growing up. And I think however I can give these players or these coaches or staff a platform to be able to use their voice for the next generation, which we've seen countless times in the last couple of years, especially since the 2019 World Cup. I think that's my goal. And so if I have any opportunity to be able to do that, and it's kind of crazy because here I am just a fan, but I see the value in, giving these players, and, Megan Rapinoe has done so much, and there are 23 other players on her team who have a voice and platform just as much as she does, who want to promote, the same values, the same, voice and everything. So yeah, just being able to highlight those players and the game, and just know that there are millions of little kids watching out there, watching those games. And finally, I think this season is a full season where we can watch it streaming on Paramount, and then even on a big network like CBS, we have games available, which is wild. And yeah, I just remember being 6 years old watching the 99 World Cup, and that's still one of the biggest attended games to this day, 90,000-ish people. And that was 99, and now it's 2022. So seeing where we can go now is going to be really cool to watch. And yeah, hopefully people will still watch these NWSL games, and then before you know it, it'll be 2023, 2024 World Cup Olympics again. So yeah, that's just my goal, is to be there. I'm also a photographer, so bringing my camera and being able to get, nice, good shots of the players playing as well, and being able to interview and talk to people as much as I can, and just get the word out there and continue to bring people closer to women's sports, specifically soccer in this country.
Well, you hit something that was perfect. As a former athletic director, I was in charge of people using the fields and all this. I mean, not really in charge, but they came to me and asked for permission.
Sure.
And I had a group of parents come to me and say, we need soccer field time. I went, for what? Because I know your kids and they're out there already playing. And just what you said, they needed fields for the U16. Mm-hmm. And I was dumbfounded. It's like, you've got a under 6 team of players that can tie their own shoes? Really? Okay. But you mentioned something that was important. You saw the World Cup at 6 years old. Now we have a league that people can see when they start playing is under 6 years old. They can look up and they can say, at a 6-year-old, I want to be on the Washington Spirit. I want to be with the Chicago Red Stars. I want to be with this. I see something that I like here. And I can become a fan of a local team. And I can go to games locally. I can watch it on CBS and on Paramount. Dad, can we watch the game? Mom, can we watch the game? Yeah. Why? Because I play soccer and they're playing soccer. Duh. And it's now we can see that. Now we see the growth of it. I think that what you're doing is a very important part of Catalyst for getting people to go. So thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. And it's just like you were saying, it's representation. I mean, when I was 6, besides that World Cup team, I didn't have many female athletes to look up to, besides Sue Bird probably. But, there wasn't a lot of people female-wise. So yeah, representation and the fact that we're growing so much, and especially having a national team of women who, I mean, they're in the news every day. They're amazing. So yeah.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you're doing on the Ultimate Sports Network. And thank you for filling up my pages that were empty. So cool.
Thank you, Frank.
Have a good night. Thank you, folks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.